Sleep paralysis and sleep paralysis demons. Naturally, I'm not an expert. I've only had one actual sleep paralysis/sleep paralysis demon encounter, but I'd been hearing about it and I'd looked into the topic for at least a decade before because it ties in with alien abduction research. Why did I do air quotes? No, alien abduction research. I guess researchers hearing about the UFO abduction phenomenon, they kept hearing similar notes that reminded them of sleep paralysis stories dating back throughout human history. I should have done some research, but there was some like meta-analysis matchup. The determination was essentially that there's something swimming around in the human psyche, or in the human physiological, psychological chemistry that causes this recurring sort of similar night terror vision encounter. And in the past, very, very often, these are humanoids, by the way. So here's the scenario. You wake up and you're paralyzed. Except your eyes. You can move, you're breathing fine. You can see everywhere. You can move your eyeballs. But you're paralyzed otherwise. And there's something in the room with you. There's something that comes to get you or interact with you or just be spooky as all hell. And they're very, very, very typically humanoids. Very shadowy. So we get a number of species of these things. Shadow people, so they're just people, but silhouetted, very dark, spooky people. Past witches and demons also popping up in these encounters, in these episodes. The devil also, and death, the figure of death. That came up as soon as I brought this topic up to my dad. Interesting research about alien abduction phenomena that, well, it matches up with these age-old stories. And he had a story from early on in my parents' marriage. He wakes up paralyzed. At the foot of the bed is death. Death just standing there. Robe, dark figure just looking at him. He can't move. Finally, and here's another part of the scenario that lines up, like I say, throughout history, currently, and so the modern figures are greys or aliens or something in the modern milieu. So you wake up paralyzed. There's dark humanoid figure doing something weird. I was suspicious of these stories because when you read them and you hear people talk about them, they'll say the same things, and it starts to be suspicious, right? They would say over and over and over again. It seems so silly to hear. They would say that they tried to cry out with all their strength. They tried to cry out with all their strength. And then suddenly, they break free, they're no longer paralyzed, and whoosh, the things are gone. The thing is, it's so real. And that's what people describe too. They describe that it is horrifyingly real. In the modern age, when you can get research about this and you can have people monitoring and you can have an analysis of this, makes some sense of it. It's a little bit reassuring. In the past, though, I don't blame anybody for thinking there's aliens in the room with them. I don't blame anybody for thinking that there was death or the devil or demons or witches, because god damn, in the one episode that I experienced, I like directly observing things that people tell me about. I think with more people looking at something and analyzing something, you get more notes. Each person brings to the table their own collected senses, experiences that can go, I saw something like that once, or I think I may be able to figure. I sometimes have different experiences, perspectives that I can bring to the table. Analyzing, the weirder the better. There I am. I'm in Washougal, Oregon, which is it, and this doesn't matter. But it was a small town, and it was mostly rural, and it was right next to a river, a really, really freshwater river. It didn't have any industrial runoff, So the river is pretty clean, but the well water coming off it is clean. It's kind of interesting. And so I was dating this woman. She was living with her friend on this house right on the edge of the river. And so you can hear this trickling river all through the night, all through the day. Salmon going up and down it during the... I mean, it's really a natural setting. On the other side of the river, it just goes right into forest, right? That leads into deeper forest. And I would hear things thrashing through the river, and apparently it was supposed to be fish, but man, it sounded like something was crossing the river. It was a little bit spooky anyway. There were only a few times that I stayed over, because I lived in Portland. I think it was 30 or 40 miles altogether, and she has her own sleep issues, so she's sleeping in a room, doors closed. I want a diorama of this so you can tell the 3D space that we're talking about, because the house was barely 2 stories, but the upper story was almost kind of like a loft, and it had this spiral staircase built up going into it. Very open space, so some railings, and then you look out on the open space of the main living room of the place. And it was built like an old sea ship. It was a very sturdy wooden structure house. Okay, so there's this landing, and then her room. Door closed. I'm sleeping on a mattress just outside of the room. Listen, it ain't the weirdest sleeping situation I've dealt with. So the house is dark. I'm asleep, and I wake up. Now, a thing about the sleep paralysis story, the theory that they've tried to build up about why this happens. Okay, so the paralysis bit. So what's that about? Well, when humans are asleep, dealing with the sleep cycle and it's in the REM cycle. So when you're active, when you're really active, eyeballs going back and forth. Okay, well, there's a lot of propensity for muscular signals to be sent, because the dreams can be quite vivid. So the biology of the sleep chemistry paralyzes your body, which sounds like a risky business anyway, man. I mean, even riskier if you're sleeping up in the canopy of the jungles. If you go twitching too much, you're going to fall out, right? So, and if you think that you're fighting a lion while you're sleeping, well, you're going to fight people next to you. And if you go running around, you're going to get hurt. So for periods of the night, it paralyzes you, and then it eases up. The REM cycle kind of goes back and forth during the night. But if you wake up while this chemical, this biological paralysis is in effect, the signals aren't getting through. It's good shit. The signals don't get through. So the idea is you wake up and you realize that you're paralyzed. Well, now you're in such a vulnerable situation that the fear that induces must cause you to hallucinate. You're so worried that any shadows that you see that your mind thinks that it sees things, right? Because of the fear that's induced. Oh yeah, that's kind of interesting. Like I say, I'd been hearing these stories, been hearing about the research for at least a decade going into this. So, there I am. I wake up. Now, I can see, just because of where I'm lying, like I say, it's an open, it's really open space. So you've got that loft. It's a small loft area. It's got a spiral staircase going down. And through all the railings and stuff, I can see down into the living room area. It's dark, though, but I do see this blinking sort of amber light. Now, they were so far out in the boonies that they used a landline with a voice message system. This was it must have been 2009-ish, 2010. And so it was kind of weird that they had it, but they did have it. So there's this blinking amber light, and I can see that's sort of either living room, kitchen area. No big deal. There's nothing going on. It's not completely pitch black, because through the windows and through different spaces, there's some nighttime lighting coming through. Okay, and then I can hear somebody downstairs, and then they start coming up those big wooden steps of the spiral staircase. step by step. I can hear their weight on them, right? Just sort of creaking, sort of just step by step by step. Well, I can see what I assume it's the girl that I'm dating. I assume she went downstairs to get something in the middle of the night. That's probably why I woke up. And she's coming back upstairs, and it looks like she might be naked because I can't see any clothes on the outline. And now she's got kind of frizzy hair. Well, her hair is kind of like asymmetrical, sort of off kilter, kind of like Mr. Glass in Unbreakable, right? And now I am a weirdo. I am paranoid delusional. Now, if I wake up and somebody, if this has happened to me several times in my life, where I wake up and the lover that I'm with is awake, and if they come into the room and it's dark and quiet, and now what they're doing is they're trying to be polite and not doing. All I can think is, well, here we are, about to get murdered. So what I do is, as a hopeful stalling tactic, or just investigative little, hey, call out the name. Hey, Isabel, is that you? And then what I'm looking for is a yes or no answer. Right? Get ready to run. Okay, so in this the silhouette, what I think is the girl that I'm dating, is now just at the top of the stairs, just like a step below, maybe. She hasn't actually come up to the top, I don't think. And standing there. And so I try to say, oh, and I know immediately what's going on. Because I can't move and I can't speak. I can't, oh, shit. I know exactly what this is. I've heard about this for over a decade. I know exactly the situation. I mean, I cannot move a muscle but my eyes. I can't, and I can see this thing. And now the thing ain't acting like a person at all. It's just standing there, stock still. There's no detail. It's a silhouette. And I am, for all the world, stuck there doing this stupid thing where I am trying with all my might to call out. and even in the moment, I'm thinking, you gotta be fucking kidding me. This sounds like it, motherfuckers. Jesus Christ. Suddenly it breaks, right? Suddenly it breaks, and I'm like, and suddenly, and it don't break very much. I barely move. It's just, and a couple things happen really quick. Bam, that thing is gone. Now also, the setting, it de-sharpens slightly, but noticeably. But it is the exact same setting. If this was some kind of dream overlay, I mean, it's exactly where I'm at. It's didn't feel like a dream overlay. It felt like, it reminded me very much of research about psilocybin's effect on visual acuity. I'll get to that in a second. So it breaks, right? And I desperately now, and again, I can't move. I can't get my legs and arms up, but I can feel that they're sluggishly responding finally. And I tried to call out to the girl. Her name is Emily, and so I can barely. All I can do is. Everything is paralyzed. It's so weird, and I'm getting, and moment by moment, I'm getting more and more access to my motor control. But man, just even trying to say a word, I couldn't. And I'm panicky, but like I say, the thing is at least gone. I know the situation, man. I know it's a sleep paralysis episode, and she comes out, and I try to tell her what's going on. Holy shit. And again, she's sharp enough. She knows what sleep paralysis is. We both weirdos who are into this shit. So we even have like a little laugh about it. Now she's tired, so she's going, but Jesus Christ. And I try to relax. And when I start to, when I start to fall asleep a little bit. It's shifting into something. I don't want to be. So panicky. I finally go to sleep. That's it. That's the entire experience I have. However, even being reassured by this research, I was spooked hardcore, and I hadn't had hallucinogens. Well, not much in the time surrounding this. Although I had also, in the years prior to that, I had learned how to extract DMT from Mimosa hostilis root bark. Right? It's a fairly simple extraction. I'm a dummy. That's the only reason I can even do it. Really simple acid-base extraction. But I got very familiar with the ideas about the chemistry of DMT. It was mostly a lot of flaky shit. Steeped in McKenna's stuff about DMT. And there are these notes. There are these interesting notes. Now, to this date, I've only ever launched on DMT 3 times. And I think there's another time that another couple times I pussyfooted enough with it that, visuals start coming on hard and heavy, but no launch, right? So, like 3 launches to actual entity contact. So there are similarities that I picked up on, or at least really seemed to me similarities between the DMT kind of stuff and psilocybin. And it turns out that chemically speaking, molecularly speaking, they're very, very similar. Planar molecules that slot right into serotonin receptors. And so there's this research on psilocybin that seemed to show that actually before the body effects, before the mind effects happen, at very low doses, one of the first things that happens with psilocybin is that people notice, their eyesight gets slightly sharper. And so that's one of the theories about why it may have been ingested as utilizing an advantage in the environment with our ancient ancestors. So DMT also has, there's in a lot of the reports about that, now it comes on harder and heavier, but that crispness that'll happen, and people describe it as like the air vanishing out of the room, like suddenly it's just things are just sharper and clearer. Now, and DMT is suspected as well as being, or at least McKenna suspected as being possibly involved with the chemistry of dreaming, which makes sense to me. I've actually said, coming back from one of my events, that it felt like I had smoked dream. Jesus Christ, it's anyway, that sharpness that happens with visual acuity, that being an element of when I snapped out of the paralysis, and the apparent entity is now gone. That made me suspicious that it was also some kind of, because otherwise I would think that this was some kind of creature, some kind of thing that can stalk human consciousness in different conscious states. I don't blame people who think that is so, because whew, scary stuff. So I don't know. I guess that's about it. The only thing else like sleep paralysis demons, and this isn't the same topic actually. This was a person I knew 2013, 2014. They very specifically, very adamant that what was going on with them, what the diagnoses that were involved, this was not schizophrenia. Now, hold your horses. Just stop wherever your head's going. What this person was dealing with, beyond their control. They would see and hear these horrifying, usually humanoid demons, and certain medications had a very potent, noticeable, very effective, cut that off. Those things didn't show up. They also told me that the hallucinations were reactive to input. So, if they saw the movie or the video game Silent Hill, well, then they'd come home and there'd be those horrifying nurses crawling around on the ceiling. And running water in the shower. They would hear voices. I was fascinated by all of that because I'm always looking at weird shit like shadow people or, time travelers or UFOs. So people are seeing weird shit. What are they seeing? What's going on? Is it something in their head? Is it something going on in reality? And so, since I always ask inappropriate questions, I asked this person. They knew. They knew adamantly within themselves. It didn't seem like bravado. They were like, no, I know they're not real, but they look very real. It's scary. I don't like it. So whatever can help me get rid of it, I'm more than happy to go along with the different regimens that they were finding useful. Thinking about it later, of course, it sounds very insensitive, and yet I like to think that I don't know. I'm not trying to do harm. I don't even know if I'm. I asked them, like, is there ever any indication that these things have like culture or like intent or plans, like? And I told them, I know. Listen, there are proposals for shadow people, and I'm like, some people think that the things that they're dealing with are time travelers or creatures or whatnot, and they were like, no, this is it. They knew within themselves that what they were dealing with were hallucinations that their brain was activating. I told them, I'm amazed. I'm impressed by your confidence in that. I wouldn't be. I don't. That's a bravo. I don't know what I'm saying. I sound like such a jackass, even to myself. Why? That's the dumbest damn thing to ask a person dealing with such thing. Maybe wondering where Chonkers is at. Chonkers been here the whole time. He's been trying to sleep. Jeez. So, from all of us to all of you, I suppose I'm gonna try and whoa, hold on. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. Editor Jack here. Maybe an hour or so after recording everything, the old Talkie Jack managed to forget the whole goddamn point of everything I was saying. The theory of sleep paralysis is that it's fear-induced. The hallucinating of shadowy humanoid figures around you is supposed to be, or is theorized to be, brought on by fear. And the whole point of my little story was that I was not afraid. I was deep in the sleep paralysis event. Whatever it is, I was deep in it. Zero awareness that there was anything amiss. There was no fear. My mild paranoia that came up when when the shadow thing, almost up the stairs, that's nothing abnormal for me. And it wasn't induced by, oh my God, something comes in. No, I understood. It was, there were a couple people in the house. It was dark and people get up during the night. It was coming up step by step. I could hear the person or thought I could hear the weight of a human stepping, lightly, gingerly coming up the steps. There was nothing abnormal. And that blinking amber light I talked about. The weird thing there is that actually you weren't able to see the answering machine from where I was at. So there's also this association of like strange light phenomena, which comes up a lot with human abductions, and a lot of human abductions, by the way, I think are spontaneous DMT dumps, because if DMT is endogenous in your brain and it suddenly, for whatever reason, floods into your brain, if you're in the middle of the goddamn forest, my God, yeah, you'd think that you got grabbed and put back. All that's beside the point. It was a light that I could see in this event that was not there, was not present. No, but I wasn't thinking it was weird. It looked like a little electronic light on there was no fear. It was the form of a human was not brought about because I was afraid. I didn't know I was paralyzed. I was sitting there in bed. I just woke up and I was just looking around because from how I was situated, I could see, I'm drowsy and asleep. No fear though. So my little dumb brain doesn't think that the sleep paralysis bit is brought on by fear. it's something else. It's I don't know if it's dream state stuff. I don't know if it's weird ethereal creatures that stalk humans in different states of consciousness. I don't know. How am I supposed to dismiss anything like that? Needs more testing. Once I knew I was paralyzed, though, it stopped acting like it was no longer acting like a human. That's interesting and odd. I don't know if that's my brain. It's the dream stuff, right? Your brain is sending you this like holographic, incredible movie. It's just rolling it for you. Okay, did the projectionist like, whoa, crap? Is it disrupted somehow at that point? I don't know. Anyway, that was the whole point of this video, was to showcase how, through very direct observation of my own, I have seen at least that it does not have to be fear-induced. Whatever the sleep paralysis and sleep paralysis entities see, whatever it's supposed to be, I don't think it's brought on by fear. So something else, something weird. I don't know. I just thought I just wanted to share that with everybody. So I got no. What advice? I don't know. There's not much advice. Try not to startle yourself into a heart attack if you're in a sleep paralysis event. Try to write it out, because the paralysis chemicals, that whole situation, it keep in mind that mechanism. That's a mistake, because there are times also when you wake up and you're ready to go. So your body and brain are working their best to keep you alive. The sleep paralysis thing is some strange little hiccup, or shadowy creatures that are keeping us trapped in a dream state. Hey, listen, I'm not trying to scare anybody. Although, it's Halloween, isn't it? I mean, the Halloween season is only like 10 months long or so. Oh, the moon. Oh, it's a big fat gibbous moon right now, still waxing, but not quite full. Full moon coming. Oh, watch out. I wish I still had I had at one point 3 1-ounce silver coins. Two of them I thought most likely weren't very much silver, because they were commemorative, like silly coins. The coins were given to people who volunteered for a particular show on Portland's cable access station. There was a show that they did, a weekly show. They're very organized. So got to learn a lot actually working with those people. They had long, interesting careers in television and just electronics and media. Well, the person who ran that show was some kind of libertarian. You're not supposed to pay people for these. It's supposed to be a volunteer thing. And so we weren't paid. It was just a gift. Sometimes the gifts were coupons for a yogurt shop, or like a nice, like a burger restaurant. Nifty stuff. Just kind of neat. And then, every so often, though, silver. Okay, that's kind of weird, but like really libertarian, right? So I don't think that I don't put much stock in the whole idea of like precious metals backing money. The money bit for the last 5,000 years has been, some sort of abstract conceptual thing to make it so that people can trade their time and energy to get something, to use that to barter for goods and services somehow. So I don't think it needs to be based on, it clearly doesn't need to be based on really anything. But these folks, they do think that. So, well, like I say, 2 of the coins were commemorative, some kind of really shiny, a little too shiny. That's okay. As long as everybody agrees it's an ounce of silver, that's fine. But one of them was duller. It was obviously a short-run pressed coin. This was not an officially minted. This was no Franklin Mint U.S. Treasury number. This was some smaller operation, and the graphics on it, the sculpt on it, was goofy as hell. It was an eagle on one side, and it was the It was the most ridiculous looking. It was like, oh, wait a minute. And again, it just didn't look as official, as refined. And I don't mean refined in terms of silver. I'm pretty sure, because they believe that currency should be backed by precious metals. I'll bet for the apocalypse, they're making their own silver somewhere in that crowd, somewhere distantly. I was confident I had an ounce, at least 1 ounce, of really good silver. Oh man, I kept those silver coins clanking in my pockets for a long time, and I would tell people, keep around and show the werewolves that I mean business. I don't know what business I could have possibly meant. I might be able to make my own bullet balls at some point and melt these down, and then you'll be sorry. I don't know what it was just comforting to have silver in the hand. Sold off that silver. That's okay, because man, I did look into how to make silver bullets, because they make it look easy on some movie. You ever see the movie Silver Bullet? Stephen King's Silver Bullet? Pretty Gary Busey melting up silver and cracking open the mold. It's like, they make. They already make bullet molds you can buy, and it turns out a little more complicated. You see, lead melts at pretty low temperature. Silver don't. You need to crank that shit up a little bit higher for silver. So silver will break normal lead bullet molds. Now, when you pour molten metals into a mold, then they shrink up. So you gotta, work it out. Trial and error, math. It's not just a matter of making new, stronger molds in the same way. No, they've got to be slightly different sizes. And it's got to be out of tougher material. And so I heard about somebody, friend of a friend. I don't remember if they were casting like bullets or if they were casting silver or something. But I put out the feelers. Hey, what that cost me to, maybe if I. They could keep some of the silver if they wanted. I just wanted at least one, if not a couple, actual cast silver bullets. That's dumb. I should not have anything like that around. It just sounds neat. Sounds fun. Spendy. More spendy than the silver bit. And you look online, well, okay, can I just buy silver bullets? Like in The Howling, right? You got the great actor Dick Miller playing a guy who, has silver bullets. Guy ordered them up, but never came to think.
Look at this. Silver bullets. Some joker ordered them. 3006. Never picked them up. I take Bank America, American Express, Visa. You gonna buy that or what?
Hey, that sounds fucking neat. Can I just get silver bullets? Oh, what a pain in the dick. Yeah, you can. Number one, I'm not. How am I gonna? I don't trust anybody else's smelting and metallurgy. They're gonna rip me off, man. Like I say, like those shiny silver coins. Hey, Franklin Mint, yeah, silver. You just keep pouring silver in the molds, man. That's just. I'll bet if you pour a little something else in there, you can keep a little of the silver for yourself. Of course, how am I supposed to trust anybody? They can order silver bullets. It's just. Yeah, I should go look on Etsy again. Anyway. No, it's not, surprisingly. It's not because I'm drunk. I ain't drunk. I ain't even close. I got distracted editing because I was thinking there's something wrong in this thing. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. I left out the whole goddamn point. Try again next time. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for listening to me ramble. I keep trying to make these a little more organized and a lot of these are since I'm putting out videos. Finally, I should have been doing this 10, 15 years ago. So I'm trying to kind of spit out a lot of the old material. Just throw that out there. Trying to get to different new ground to. There's a lot to go over. And we got, oh man, I got book and movie and comic recommends and cartoons and that's all just and then there's a million stories to talk about to try and get a better handle on get a better handle on the weird world around us. Oh yeah, I was thinking of calling this Crazy Jack's Weird Shit Show. Fuck. I just stopped mine.